Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for taking the time to do this. There's lots to talk about in the world and just in the world of Incubus. When I was told that I was doing this, I felt like if there were two guys that would be able to find the beauty in the muck and the mire of the world right now, I feel like I'm talking to the right two guys, the guys with the right perspective. So
I hope
thank you.
so.
Yeah. At the time of recording this, the beaches in LA have been open for about 48 hours. Have you been yet?
I have. I'm actually going to go though, probably tomorrow. I've been waiting for the red tide to kind of shuffle out because it makes my skin itchy.
Sure, deal. Yeah.
Mikey, have you gone out?
I mean, I haven't like been out like surfing or anything like that, but we've been going to the beach kind of this whole time. Like people who live down on the beach like don't really like we sort of just ignore some of they just don't want it to be crowded, and they just don't want people like kind of having picnics and that sort of thing. So we've been just like walking on the beach and like flying kites and stuff like that. It's been kind of fun actually.
That's awesome.
It's been nice how sort of like empty it is. It's
Yeah.
like a different sort of world. But anyways,
Yeah, I
it's
feel like the whole thing, there's been the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And if we're not having a giant 100-person party on the beach
well, the police have just kind of said like, hey, like I'm not going to kick you off the beach for going for a walk.
Mhm.
And also like if you're kind of like if you're local, but they just don't want people like congregating, and people are pretty respectful of like the staying away, like like you see somebody, it's like, yeah, don't come too close,
Yeah.
don't come within 6 feet.
Yeah, and that's right. I think all of that sounds reasonable. Again, with so much unreasonable stuff out there, that's reasonable. And for the most part, people throughout this are, I think, acting reasonable.
Yep.
The new EP is called Trust Fall Side B. It's been out for a couple of weeks now. Can you tell us about this group of songs? Just, I assume it was recorded and written before all of this stuff happened.
Trust Fall Side B is sort of the latest episode in this little mini series, Trust Fall mini series that we put together. We were joking yesterday about maybe doing like Trust Fall Side C and D, or skipping down to Trust Fall Side F, moving backwards.
Just go to the end.
Yeah.
Trust Fall Side Z.
Side
Side
Z.
Z.
It's all about zombies. But yeah, it's fun. It was a fun grouping of songs to put together. Most of them we wrote in our rehearsal studio in the Deep Valley, and some of the ideas were kind of holdovers from Trust Fall Side A, which came out in 2015, right, Mike?
Yeah, something like that.
Hey, I know for a fact that is right, 100%.
That's right. Anyway, we just felt it was time to kind of like complete that thought, and we're all really happy that we did, because it's a really fun EP, and it seems like our listeners out there, people who are very aware of us and kind of follow what we do, are really stoked on it. So we're hoping that people that have been cautious or skeptical about our new music will stumble into these new songs and enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there something that makes these songs specific to the Trust Fall project? Obviously, you said the first EP came out in 2015. There was a record in between now and then. And now there is Trust Fall, again, Side B. What makes a Trust Fall song versus an album song?
Well, some of the songs were actually conceived of, like at least the framework for some of them was conceived of while we were working on Side A.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, you never know when inspiration will sort of hit in a song. Sometimes it can be years between like when the idea first kind of comes to light and when it actually coalesces into a song. It can be many years. Like there are lots of times like where I'll write a whole bunch of like musical riffs or something, and I'll send a bunch of stuff to Brandon, and then some of the pieces he'll connect with, and other pieces are kind of like either doesn't connect with, or like just get so into some of the other ones that some you just can't focus on everything all at one time. And so this has happened many times. Like years later, Brandon will be like, hey, you remember this thing? and I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and we turn it into a song like many years later, and it's kind of the beauty of the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very non-linear in that there's really not, especially now at this sort of late stage of our career. We've been a band for almost 30 years, and we're still digging up song ideas. Like Mikey was saying, we're still digging up song ideas that some of them are 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and we kind of forget about them. And I'll stumble onto them somewhere in an email chain when I'm looking for something else, and then a melody will emerge then, you know, late, but it still emerges. And so I write a lyric to it and then demo it at my house and send it back to Mike, like, check this out. Remember this thing? I wrote a lyric to it. Yay. And so there's not really like a timeline on our projects. That's why it makes it more fun to be like, hey, remember Trustfall? We never finished that record. Let's finish it. You know, that was the idea.
That's cool, because I feel like, at least, and again, I feel like it's easy to have the inclination when you're working something right now in the present to look at something from the past and at least have the natural inclination of going, oh, that's no good. I can't believe I did that. That was embarrassing, that sort of thing. I like what I'm working on now, like what I'm doing now. So to have ideas that kind of can live that long, and ideas that you can still, I don't say be proud of, but still be excited about, that are 7 or 8 years old. That's cool. Yeah. I think that's an interesting process. I've not heard of that happening too often.
Sometimes all it takes is a fresh pair of ears on an idea that you'd sort of put away or put to bed for a period of time. And then sometimes you stumble across things and you do feel a great deal of shame about what you've done.
What have I done?
I know that feeling very, very well. Absolutely. Last year was a big year for you guys. You spent much of it celebrating the anniversary of Make Yourself. How was that experience? Going out.
Fun.
Yeah.
We had a great time last year. It was
it was so fun.
Especially now that we're sort of in this quarantine state where we're kind of, you know, in a holding pattern, and everyone's sort of like going, oh man, like, you know, we had a blast last year, and it was like, you know, just getting to sort of feel what it feels like to revel in like the connection that all that music had with the people that care about it. It's like, I don't know, we don't get to, I don't know, it doesn't feel like we get to do that often. So it's like a treat, kind of a treat.
Absolutely. Yeah. It seemed like fun as you were going through it. It seemed like you guys were having a blast. Some bands, yeah. Now, I would say not a lot of bands get to do stuff like that. And so the fact that you earned that, it seemed like you were enjoying it, which is cool.
It was very enjoyable. It also feels about 100 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
It was only in the fall, but oh my God, how the world has changed in a short period of time.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's pretend we live in a world where none of this is happening or won't be happening next year. There's another anniversary coming up for Morning View, and next year's also the 30th anniversary of the band. Would you do something similar with that album?
We would love to. We would absolutely love to. We've toyed around with the idea a bit of doing a 20th anniversary Morning View tour. And I know that by this time next year, all of us are just going to be like chomping at the bit to go out and play some concerts. So even if we have to go and play other people's music, like if we could just go play music, it would be amazing.
Sure.
Yeah, but we are looking forward to that. And it is kind of a wild thing to think that we've been a band for 30 years. I'm only 44. You know?
Yeah.
So we've been in this band for way more than half of our lives. And that's a crazy thing to really take on. It has so much of our collective identity, our personal identity, so much of our lives are really just enmeshed in this Incubus project. And for the most part, it's like kind of an amazing thing. I'm so overjoyed that we've been able to have this experience. And I've really been reflecting on it a lot over the last couple of months, being kind of locked away inside, because we've gotten to kind of just gallivant around the globe for the last 30 years, playing in foreign countries and visiting parts of our own country that we never thought we'd get to go to. I mean, we've played in Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been to Fargo, North Dakota.
Been to Fargo, yeah. There's actually one state that we haven't been to. We haven't played a concert in. Mikey's been there, but I don't think he's played a concert there. But the band has never played in Vermont. That's the last state that we haven't played in.
Wow, I would have said Alaska for sure. Vermont, what?
No, we've played in Alaska.
Yeah,
we played in a couple of shows in Alaska. We've played in India. We've played all over South and Central America. We've played all over Southeast Asia, Europe, all over Japan. Never played in Vermont. That's sort of the last. That's the holdout.
Vermont is the last frontier for us.
Absolutely, right. Absolutely. Is there anything? I mean, if you're reflecting and thinking back on the band's 30 years, is there something that you would go tell yourself? Just 14-year-old self, or 20-year-old self, or 25-year-old self. Just relax. What you think is a big deal now, it's not that big a deal, man. You're gonna be okay.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
I'd definitely tell my older self I tell my younger self to wash his hands more and don't touch his face so much.
Oh, well, yeah, as I'm kind of doing, yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that wild? Like all of our cognizance around personal hygiene and what our hands are touching when they're touching them has gotten so kind of thrust into the limelight. And I'll never be the same for lots of reasons, but not the least of which is just like touching things and contact, and that stuff is going to be irreparably changed, I think, for the rest of our lives. Some of it for the better, but some of it for the worse too. There's something about human connection, even with strangers. Part of what we do, like when we're on tour, is like we hug literally thousands of people for like long embraces and high fives and handshakes, and I think it's going to be like,
Absolutely.
Mikey, what would you tell your younger self?
I think it's like the flip. I think my younger self should just be telling my older self stuff all the time. Like just, I don't know, like everything when you're young, like when we were young, like everything that we did felt so logical to me and so natural to me. And it's like I think that's one of the challenges of getting older, is like that part of you that did things naturally, like maybe there are certain things that don't feel as natural as they did when you were young, or they don't feel as like, it's like you get jaded when you're older. So it's like, I think the challenge is to like keep trying to like remain curious about whatever it is that you're doing. And it's like that was always such a thing that was never a challenge for me as a young person. Like I was always really curious about things that I was working on. And I'm still that way now, actually. Like I don't have any, there's no difference. And I actually don't think that my younger self needs to tell my older self anything really, but
sunblock.
Yeah, well, okay, that's a good point.
Sure.
I've been plagued with skin cancers as a middle-aged man that could have been avoided had I worn sunblock for all those years that we all spent surfing. And Brandon was blessed with like that like Mediterranean olive beautiful skin, and I'm just white. So
hard H.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm paying the price dearly for it now. Sure. I've had like 7 or 8 skin cancers cut off of various places of my body over the last couple of years, but hey, whatever. As long as they cut them off, I'm fine.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mike, what have you been working on as this stuff has been happening? Has it been solely Incubus stuff? You collaborate with a lot of people. Have you been working on other stuff as well?
I've just been being dad. It's like one of the great things about being home during this time is it's afforded me the opportunity to spend like copious amounts of time with my children and my wife and my family. And it's just like a beautiful thing to be able to kind of rediscover the world through the eyes of 3-year-old twin girls. It's like amazing.
Yeah. It's pretty nice. And you don't get this time almost ever. It's certainly not in this sort of large bulk, so it's nice to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, so yeah, we're definitely making the most of it around here.
Sure. Great. Brandon, is your solo art show in Dallas still on for this year? Is that still a thing that's happening?
They, the guidelines for Texas are a little bit different than here in California. So they put up the gallery, and they put up most of the work had already been sent there. We were within a matter of like weeks of opening the show. So they have most of the stuff, and I'm actually in the process of, I'm able to send the rest of the stuff to them now, but it's up and the gallery is actually open. I've been reluctant to really promote anybody going anywhere outside of the house. But I think that they're letting people in kind of limited capacities and socially distancing people and making sure they're wearing masks and all that stuff. So it is open. We're hoping that sometime in the fall we'll be able to do some kind of a limited engagement opening. I don't know what that's going to look like. The truth is even though we're in like the third month of this situation, nobody knows what the fuck is going on still. It's so confusing. There's so much information and very little of it seems to be reliable. So I feel like all we can really do is still at this stage, like kind of play it safe. And so yeah, it's a shame. There are lots of things that aren't happening that we were all looking forward to. But going back to your original comment about, us finding a silver lining amongst this very weird situation. My takeaway so far has been just that there's, Michael has been able to spend time with his new kids, that we otherwise would not be able to. We'd be on our way to Europe.
Yeah, we'd be traveling in Europe around now and playing festivals. Sure would be fun, wouldn't it?
It certainly would be fun.
Sure.
And it's a bummer that we can't do that, but there's, this time at home has created a deeper awareness of, our relationship to home, to our families. I've definitely become a much better cook. I've gotten a lot better at my guitar, appreciating music in ways that I never thought that I could. And I am a fan of music, but really listening to music differently than I had before. So yeah, there's definitely going to be some lovely takeaways once you kind of are able to push aside a lot of the dark aspects of this experience.
Absolutely.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Beastie Boys documentary yet?
No, I just saw the thing on my Apple TV queue that showed a little trailer for it. I'm excited to watch it. Is it cool?
I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I've been watching it sort of in pieces. It's amazing, and one of the best things about it is Rick Rubin. He's just amazing. It's funny because I never really knew that much about Rick's history with the Beastie Boys. I mean, I knew he was affiliated with them, but I came to know Rick really well later. I didn't really know all that. So seeing all when you'll know what I mean when you see it, because it's he's in the band. He's one of the Beastie Boys. So he was their DJ double R. So
amazing.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing. It's a perfect synthesis of people having the best time and not taking it seriously, but taking it seriously enough.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. It's amazing. You should watch it.
Mike and I, and I'm pretty sure everybody in our band were and still are kind of huge Beastie Boys fans. And we've gotten to play with them a couple of times on festivals here and there over the years. And I remember when Check Your Head came out, I was very aware of the Beastie Boys because they were a big band even before Check Your Head. But Check Your Head was my entry point into the band. And I remember just being kind of this is some different shit. And those funk jams in between the songs that they started doing that they really kind of started doubling down on later records. There's never been a band like them, and there still hasn't been a band like them. They're very, very special. Very special group.
Absolutely. I have not seen the documentary yet, Mike, but I did read the book last year. I think it's sort of the visual version of the book, and it's incredible. I was a moderate Beastie Boys fan with a lot of respect for what they did. And I found that book impossible to put down. It was so captivating, and they have such an interesting story. And like from their punk rock background to kind of the switch in attitude on social issues. Like it was very honest. It was wonderfully written and infinitely entertaining. It was great.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is like they're such a unique group of people that came from like a specific place, and like, you know, the sort of punk rock DNA of what the band started as, and then how they became influenced by hip hop, but not just like influenced by hip hop. They were like in the midst of it, you know. They were like hanging out with Russell Simmons and Run DMC and Rick Rubin while this whole new genre of music was like actually being created by this group of people, and they were influencing it as they were also influenced by it. And it's just it's an incredible story, a really incredible story. So
I gotta watch it. I'm excited to see that.
It's amazing. It also, like, it's super nostalgic for me, like just how like it kind of it's like there's so much music that we were influenced by, and as young people, you know, you kind of forget sometimes. And then when those are like, seeing that documentary is a really nice reminder of like how important a band, the Beastie Boys, is and was to like who we are as a band. I mean, I don't know if, you know, I don't think that the musical influence necessarily like comes out in our music in any way, but they were just super influential to me as a human being, as a young person trying to find my identity in the world, you know. And I love their music. I love the way their music made me feel as a young person, and it's fun to hear it now and learn more about it that I just didn't know, you know. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, they're great artists, so it should not be surprising that they in turn affect great artists. And it doesn't mean that one has to sound like the other.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Fellas, thank you for taking the time. Congratulations on the EP.
Thank you.
I'm glad everybody's safe.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. I could talk for 45 minutes about Mike, your garden that I saw in the in the home video. Dude, those garden boxes look incredible. Driving around and having Drive come on the radio the other day. There's like a billion things.
Life's crazy, man.
It's pretty fun.
Crazy. It's got to be, open your mind. Open to new experiences.
Exactly. Thanks, guys. Be safe, and we'll see you soon. All right.
All right. Bye.